students, welcome to all of you in today's class. And this class is in continuation of my previous class, Logical Database Designing. In the previous class, I told you that what are the major guidelines for the relational database design. For that, 4 points were there. One is, whatever the relation you are designing, that should be semantically clear. Then second point is that there should not be any insertion, updation and deletion anomaly. If insertion, updation and deletion anomaly is there, then your database will be inconsistent. And third point is that whenever you are designing your database, always our attempt should be to minimize the number of nulls. Then fourth one is that there should not be any joint dependency. And joint dependency always occur when we are relating, if we are relating to relations and those relations are based on two non-key attributes. Always there will not be any joint dependency if we are establishing the relationship based on the key attributes. So if there will be any properly normalized database, then we can say that that particular database will be less inconsistent in compare to an unnormalized database. So in attempt to pinpoint, different researchers have introduced different types of dependencies. We can categorize the dependencies into three categories. One is the functional dependency, another one is the multi-value dependency, and third one is the joint dependency. You can further categorize the functional dependency into trivial functional dependency, partial functional dependency, fully functional dependency, and transitive functional dependency. What is the functional dependency? The functional dependency is a type of relationship between attributes. In fact, the attributes in any relation are always dependent on each other, and through functional dependency we determine the dependence of attributes on each other. If I define functional dependency, so suppose any relation R is given, and in that relation if there are two non-empty set of attributes A and B, then if we write expression A to B, it means that B is functionally dependent on A. For one value of A, always there will be only one value of B. It means that A is determining the value of B. So B will be known as dependent, which will be on the right side of a functional dependency, and A will be known as the determinant, which will be on the left hand side of the functional dependency. Then it also means that A determines B. So in relation R, if two non-empty sets A of attributes A and B are given, so if there is a functional dependency A to B, it means that B is functionally dependent on A, means that A is having the determining capability for attribute B. It means that A will represent the attribute B. If I am taking two attributes T1 and T2, that is the part of extension, and if I am writing an expression, if T1 dot A equal to T2 dot A, so if two tuples variables which are applied on attributes A and B, and if I am writing T1 dot A is equal to T2 dot A, then definitely T1 dot B is equal to T2 dot B. In this way we can define the functional dependency. Now another subcategory of functional dependency is trivial functional dependency. In trivial functional dependency, always the dependent will be the subset of determinant, or the dependent and determinant will be same. In trivial functional dependency, any functional dependency is given, and if you want to know that whether this is trivial functional dependency or not, you can check with two conditions. One, if dependent is the subset of determinant, and another condition is if dependent and determinant both are same. I am illustrating this with example. If I am saying that attribute A is functionally dependent on attributes A and B, in this scenario the dependent is the subset of determinant, so it's a trivial functional dependency. If I am writing that attribute B is functionally dependent on attributes A and B, in this scenario B dependent is subset of determinant. This is also example of trivial functional dependency. If I am writing the expression attributes AB is functionally dependent on attributes AB, it means that dependent attributes A and B and determinant attributes are A and B, both are same. This is also the example of trivial functional dependence. Now I will talk about the inference rules. What is the application of inference rules? There are set of rules, 6 rules, and on the basis of those 6 rules, if any set of functional dependency is given, we will apply those inference rules and we can generate a new set of functional dependencies. These inference rules are also known as Armstrong actions. The first inference rule is reflexivity. In reflexivity, if there is a functional dependency A to B is given, if B is a proper subset of A, then functional dependency A to B will hold, and which will also imply that A will be functionally dependent on A. Again I am repeating reflexivity. If B is a proper subset of A, then functional dependency A to B will hold, and which will also imply that functional dependency A to A will also hold. Then there is another inference rule that is known as augmentation. If there is a functional dependency A to B, if one want to augment a variable attribute Z on both sides of functional dependency, then the BZ will be functionally dependent on AZ. I am again repeating, if there is a functional dependency A to B, or I want to say that B is functionally dependent on A, and if I want to augment a particular attribute Z on both the sides, then BZ will be functionally dependent on AZ. Then third rule is transitivity. In transitivity, if B is functionally dependent on A and C is functionally dependent on B, if B is functionally dependent on A and C is functionally dependent on B, then always that will be logically implied by the functional dependency C will be functionally dependent on A. Now additivity. In additivity, if there is a functional dependency A to B and A to C, which will logically imply by the functional dependency A to BC. Again I am repeating, if B is functionally dependent on A and C is functionally dependent on A, then BC will also be functionally dependent on A. Now another rule is projectivity. In projectivity, if there is a functional dependency A to BC, means BC will functionally dependent on A, then we can decompose it A to B and A to C. It means that if BC is functionally dependent on A, then B will be functionally dependent on A and C will be functionally dependent on A. Another inference rule is that is the pseudo transitivity. In pseudo transitivity, if there is a functional dependency A to B is given and another functional dependency CB to D is given. Again repeating, a functional dependency A to B is given and the functional dependency CB to D is given, which will logically imply the functional dependency AC to D. It means that D will be functionally dependent on AC. So these are the 6 inference rules, and by applying these 6 inference rules on set of functional dependencies, we can deduce new set of functional dependencies, right? This is the application of in databases of these inference rules. Now, what is the closure of a set of functional dependencies? If F is a set of functional dependencies, a set of functional dependencies are given that is represented by F for a relation R, then the set of all functional dependencies that can be derived from F is known as closure of F. This is denoted by F plus, F superscript plus. Now let's see a relation R where the attributes are A, B, C, D, E, F and G, and set of functional dependency A to B where B is functionally dependent on A, then D is functionally dependent on BC and G is functionally dependent on AEF is given. And by applying the inference rule, we will deduce another set of functional dependency DG is functionally dependent on ACF. So in this question we will apply the inference rules. So first of all we will see what are the given. First we have to given that B is functionally dependent on A, then we are given D is functionally dependent on BC, and then G is functionally dependent on AEF. These 3 things are given. Now first of all, in first functional dependency B is functionally dependent on A. If we augment one attribute C on both the sides by using the augmentation rule, then it will become BC will be functionally dependent on AC. Now here it's very clear that from first and fourth rule that there is a transitivity relation. Fourth and second rule, you can see that there is a transitivity relationship. Then we can see that by applying the transitivity rule on fourth and second, we can get D functionally dependent on AC. Now again on fifth, which we have derived using the transitivity rule, we are again augmenting another attribute F on both sides, and the functional dependency become DEF is the function dependent on ACF. Here we have applied the augmentation rule. Now again on this sixth we have applied the augmentation. And what we have applied here, we have applied AC on, augment AC on both the side. So AC ACF, which will become the AC ACF. ठीक है, तो AC DEF will functionally dependent on ACF. Now left hand side of this functional dependency we have got. Now we can say ACF AEF will be the functionally dependent on ACF. What we have done? We have decomposed it by using the projectivity. What we have done? ACF will be AC will be functionally dependent on ACF, and AEF will be functionally dependent on ACF. So on the seventh rule we have used the projectivity rule. Then by applying the eighth and third, this is the third one rule, we have, by using the transitivity, we have found the functional dependency G is functionally dependent on ACF. Now on the sixth rule is given, we have decomposed the sixth functional dependency and we got the D is functionally dependent on ACF. Now what we have used, we have done the union or additivity. Here on 9th and 10th, what we have done, DG by union, taking union, we have found the new functional dependency DG is functionally dependent on ACF. So in question there is given that in a relationship R, if there are attributes A, B, C, D, E, F and G, then if there are set of functional dependency A to B, B, C to D, A to AEF to G, then we have to derive ACF to DG, right? So now by applying the inference rules, we have got this particular set of functional dependency DG is functionally dependent on ACF. Now let's see another example. If DE, attributes D and E both are functionally dependent on C, which will logically imply that D will be functionally dependent on C and E will functionally dependent on C. This is somewhat canonical form. If C, D, E functionally dependent on attribute C, D, which will logically imply then it is not necessarily C to E and D to E. If you are having a such type of functional dependency, so it doesn't mean that E will be functionally dependent on C and E will be functionally dependent on D. So take care these two rules. First one is canonical form. Then if two set of functional dependency is given, D is functionally dependent on C and C is functionally dependent on D, then C and D are in 1:1 relationship. If there is an interchange of attributes in two given functional dependency, then always there is a 1:1 relationship. So remember this rule. If C to D, then for C there would be only one value of D, which I have already stated. So these are the some rules of functional dependency which I told you in summary form. Now let's see another example of inference rules. There is a relation R where the attributes are given A, B, C, D, E and F, and set of functional dependencies are given where BC is functionally dependent on A, E is functionally dependent on B, EF is functionally dependent on CD. Then we have, by using the inference rules, we have to derive a functional dependency AD to F, means F will be functionally dependent on AD. Now, how to get it? What are the given things?
A to BC. In this way you will solve in the exam. B to E and then CD to EF. So 3 given conditions are there, and by using these 3 given set of functional dependency, we have to find out this one. Then we will have to apply the inference rules. So in the first one, what we have done? We have augmented an attribute D. We have augmented an attribute D because we have to find out this AD. Then BCD on first set of first functional dependency, we have augmented D on both sides, so it becomes BCD will functionally dependent on AD. Then on this fourth, we have decomposed it because we have to see this also, in which way we have to get the result. Then on fourth we have decomposed. After decomposition we can write it CD is function dependent on AD. It's okay. Now on fifth and third, what we have done? We have used the transitivity on third and fifth, where EF is function dependent on CD and fifth one CD is function dependent on AD, though it means that EF will be function dependent on AD. So by applying the transitivity rule, we have got this functional dependency. Now on this sixth, we have decomposed it. So we can write it after decomposition AD to E and AD to F. So AD to F, which we have to find out. So we can say that F is functionally dependent on AD is the part of this set of functional dependency, and which has been deduced by using the inference axioms. Now this is all about the inference axioms. So students, this was all about the inference rules, and by applying the inference rules on the set of functional dependencies, you can deduce a new set of functional dependencies. In the next class, I will discuss about how to find out the closure of an attribute, how to find out the redundant set of functional dependency, then how we can find out equivalent set of functional dependencies, then how to find out the minimal cover, then we will discuss about different normalizations. So thank you very much for watching this lecture.